Have you ever gotten into an argument with a friend about a movie or a news story? You both saw the exact same thing, but you walked away with completely different feelings about it? Well, today we're going to break down a really powerful idea from cultural theorist Stuart Hall that explains exactly why that happens. It's called the encoding/decoding model, and trust me, it changes how you see, well, everything. So let's really picture this for a second. You and your friend watch the same news report. You finish and you think, yeah, that was pretty fair. But they are absolutely furious, saying it was totally biased and unfair. How does that happen? How can two people see the literal same images and hear the same words, but have such a different reaction? This is the exact puzzle Stuart Hall wanted to solve. For a long time, we all kind of thought communication worked in a super simple way. We imagined it was just a straight line. You have a sender, maybe a TV station, who creates a message, like a news report, and just sends it out to a receiver. And that's you. Clean, simple, easy to understand. But Stuart Hall, he looked at that simple model and basically said, nope, absolutely not. He knew that real-world communication is way messier and way more interesting than that. The message isn't some kind of hypodermic needle that just injects a single perfect meaning straight into our brains. It just doesn't work that way. So to really get why that old model is wrong, we first have to look at how messages are actually put together in the first place. And this brings us to the first big piece of Hall's theory, a process he called encoding. See, instead of that one-way street, Hall saw the whole thing as a circuit, like a continuous loop. It's not just about sending and receiving. It's a dynamic, living process where meaning is constantly being produced, sent out into the world, and then consumed. Okay, so what exactly is encoding? Well, it's the moment of creation. It's where producers, we're talking journalists, filmmakers, advertisers, you name it, package up their ideas, and here is the absolute key. They are never, ever neutral. They are always working from a particular point of view, using a whole set of unspoken rules and codes to build their message. These codes come from what Hall called the producer's toolkit. This includes their frameworks of knowledge, which is really just their own background, their assumptions about the world. It also includes the relations of production, real-world stuff like deadlines, pressure from advertisers, or who owns the company. And finally, there's the technical infrastructure, the actual cameras and editing software they use. Every single one of these things shapes the message before we ever lay eyes on it. And one of the most powerful tools in that toolkit is the difference between denotation and connotation. Okay, so denotation, that's just the literal meaning, what you literally see. In this example, it's people are blocking a road. Simple. But connotation, that's the juicy part. That's all the cultural meaning and emotion layered on top. So depending on the camera angle, the scary music, or the reporter's tone of voice, those exact same people can be encoded as heroes or as troublemakers. The producer gets to choose that frame. But here's the thing. That's only half the story. The message gets encoded, it gets sent out, and then it runs into us, the audience. And this is where the second half of that circuit kicks in. This is the moment of decoding, and it's where we get to fight back. Hall himself put it perfectly. He said that for a message to have any effect at all, it has to be decoded. The meaning isn't just magically there. We, the audience, have to actively make it meaningful. And this is where all our power lies. So decoding is our part of the job. We are not just passive sponges soaking up whatever the media throws at us. Nope. We bring our own lives, our experiences, our political beliefs, our cultural background to every single thing we watch. We use our own personal toolkit to make sense of the message. Now, Hall didn't think this was just a total free-for-all where anything goes. He argued that we tend to fall into one of three main positions when we decode a message. So let's break down what those are. Let's go back to our protesters blocking the road. Let's say a news report encodes them as troublemakers. If you watch it and think, yep, they're just causing trouble for everyone, you've taken the dominant position. You've decoded it exactly the way the producer intended. But what if you think, okay, I support what they're fighting for, but they really shouldn't be blocking roads like that? That's a negotiated reading. You accept the big picture, but you argue with some of the details. And finally, if you watch it and think, this is just corporate propaganda, these protesters are heroes fighting for our future, well, you've taken an oppositional position, completely flipping the script on their intended meaning. So this is a really cool theory, right? But why does it matter so much today? Well, because we live in a world of social media feeds and endless content, and this struggle over meaning that Hall described is happening all around us, faster and more intensely than ever before. Because the biggest thing Hall's model teaches us is that meaning is never just delivered, gift-wrapped from point A to point B. It's an active process. It's a negotiation, a constant push and pull between what the producer intended and how we actually interpret it. Communication really is a struggle. So what are the big takeaways here? First, media is never neutral. Every single message is encoded with a point of view. Second, we, the audience, are powerful decoders. We're not passive. Third, what we call misunderstanding isn't a failure, it's just a normal, natural part of communication. And finally, and this is the most important one, meaning is always up for grabs. So I want to leave you with this thought. The next time you're watching a movie, or scrolling through your phone, or listening to the news, just pause for a second and ask yourself, which position am I in right now? Am I accepting this message? Am I negotiating with it? Or am I totally rejecting it? Once you start asking that question, you'll see this whole circuit of meaning playing out everywhere.